My brother raised his glass and said, "Here's to family, except for Jake, the failure who thinks money makes him worth something." My parents laughed, so I raised my glass and said, "To the failure who just stopped paying for everything you own." This happened at Thanksgiving dinner. My whole family was there. Mom, Dad, my brother Kevin, his wife Ashley, and their 2 kids. We were all sitting around the table. Mom spent 3 hours setting up with the fancy plates and cloth napkins I bought her last Christmas. Kevin had been making little comments all night. When I showed up in my Audi, he said something about how some people waste money on cars to feel important. When I mentioned my promotion at work, he rolled his eyes and said corporate jobs turn people into robots. The guy works part-time at a gym and thinks he's living some authentic life. But that toast was the final straw. Everyone went quiet after I said what I said. Dad put down his fork. Kevin's face went red. Ashley stopped cutting her kid's turkey. "What's that supposed to mean?" Mom asked. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Started reading out loud. Dad's truck payment, $580 a month. Mom's credit card, paid off $4,200 last month. Kevin's rent, $1,100. Kevin's car insurance, $230. Ashley's student loans, $340. Kevin stood up. "You're lying." "Am I? Dad, who do you think has been making your truck payments for the last 2 years? Mom, how do you think your credit card balance keeps going to zero?" Dad looked at Mom. Mom looked at her plate. I kept going. "Kevin, you think your landlord just forgot to raise your rent for 3 years? I've been paying the difference. That's an extra $400 a month you don't know about." Ashley's mouth was open. Kevin looked like he wanted to jump across the table. "You never told us," Mom said quietly. "You never asked how a 28-year-old could afford a place in the city while you kept having emergencies I needed to help with." I stood up and grabbed my coat. "I set up automatic payments for everything. They all cancel tonight. You've got until December 1st to figure it out." Kevin followed me to the door. "You can't just watch me." I left, drove home, opened my laptop, canceled every single automatic payment. Dad's truck, Mom's credit card autopay, Kevin's rent difference, the payment I was making on their insurance, the streaming services they all used with my account, everything. My phone started blowing up around 9 p.m. Mom called 6 times. Kevin sent a bunch of texts calling me selfish and heartless. Dad left a voicemail saying we needed to talk like adults. I didn't answer any of them. 3 days later, Dad showed up at my apartment. He looked tired. "Your mother is crying every night." "That's not my problem anymore. Jake, we're family. Family doesn't laugh when someone calls you a failure." He didn't have an answer for that. Just stood there in my hallway looking old. "I needed help," he finally said. "The truck payment was too much after I got my hours cut, so ask for help. Don't laugh when Kevin insults me and then act surprised when I'm done being the bank. He didn't mean it. He meant every word. He's been making comments for years. You both have." Dad left without saying anything else. A week later, Kevin called. Not texted, actually called. "Ashley's freaking out about rent, so pay it yourself. I don't make enough. Get a full-time job." He hung up. By mid-December, I heard from my aunt that Dad had to return his truck to the dealership. Couldn't make the payments. Mom picked up extra shifts at her job. Kevin and Ashley moved in with her parents. My cousin Brian called me on Christmas Eve. "Dude, your family is a mess right now." "Yeah, your mom asked me to talk to you. Tell her I'm spending Christmas in Colorado. Already booked the flight." I actually did go to Colorado. Rented a cabin by myself. Spent 5 days snowboarding and eating whatever I wanted and not answering my phone. When I got back, there was a card in my mailbox from Mom. It said, "We're sorry," in her handwriting. Inside was a check for $200 with a note that said it was a start on paying me back. I ripped it up. They didn't get it. This wasn't about the money. This was about watching them laugh while Kevin called me a failure. This was about 3 years of paying for their lives while they acted like I was the one with the problem. 2 months later, Kevin sent me one text. "Ashley's pregnant again. We need help." I blocked his number. Last week, Dad came by my office. Security called to ask if I wanted to see him. I said no. He waited in the lobby for 2 hours. I left through the back entrance.